Okay, everybody. One more try. Hopefully, heaven willing, it will actually work properly now. And I won't have my computer nuking itself or the network randomly dropping or anything like that. If what I did doesn't fix it, then I don't know what else to do. That just means it's being contrary, and after a certain point, it's just going to be contrary. So, fingers crossed, everybody. Seems to be in good condition now. So, back to the actual project. So since it appears that at least some of my work up to this point recap got lost, we've done base coating in it. No, that was. Oh, actually, maybe it was you. No, I don't think it was you. So what we did was we base coated in Filthy Brown and Parasite Brown, and then we gave it an ink wash with Flesh Wash and Sepia Shade over everything that we painted so far. Which did a pretty good job of getting all the details to pop out. And then we also gave it a dry brush with a mix of black with the Parasite Brown in all of the areas that will be leather, and a dry brush with white and Parasite Brown in all of the skin areas and the areas that are going to be gunmetal. Yeah, no, I don't think that was actually the issue. So, for right now, let's get going. Well, let's see what's going to be the innermost pieces. Let's give it a quick look. We're probably going to want to start in with our gray for the back of his tunic, the exposed little flappy bit. And then once that's done, we'll wash that, and then while that's drying, we will move on to the rest of it. Yeah, no, it should be fine. It should be fine to continue. Keep doing what you do. Flap up. Let me just pick out a gray. Ghost gray. Brown. Wolf gray. Let's see. Somber gray with a bit of black should do well. I'll give it that nice, slightly blue color. Contrast with all the red on the rest of him. And we'll get ourselves some thinner on that. Okay. Turns out that some of my black dried up a little bit while I was waiting. So, whoops. Just have to mix a little extra. Don't need much. Okay. That'll be a good color for this. Okay. So basically, we're just going to put this on the underside of this, like, waistcoat sort of thing. And I'm probably going to want to remove some of the paint that I just put on. So I do want it to be underneath there, but not all the way underneath. And I should have done this first, but I wasn't really thinking. So here we are. This is what you get when you don't think ahead and make according plans. So you make dumb decisions and then you have to fix them later, which is harder than doing it right the first time. Just gotta get all this overlapping paint out of where it currently is. That should be okay, I think. There's still a little bit of a mark there, but I don't think it's a big deal. Alright, that's around the back of the other leg. Just over here, like, committing cardinal painting sins every couple seconds. It's fine. Okay. Now, because as far as I can tell, there was no way to do that cleanly, I'm going to have to clean up. Okay. Just add one last little bit of that in there. Don't need much. Okay, that's as good as it's probably going to get. And for this, well, we'll probably still want to use both shading tones. Pretty sure it's not. Well, okay, it could be actually. I don't see why it would do that. It's weird. Let me check. Yeah, I guess it is taking up a fair amount of bandwidth. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think the problem is because the antenna that I have is sort of crappy and the signal in here isn't great, so it gets a limited upload compared to the actual network speed. Yeah, I'm not sure what to tell you, I'm afraid. I think it might just be what it is. I it looks that way at the moment. I'm not gonna say that that is how it is because I'm not really sure. But right now, that is what appearances are. No animu. No animu. Ooh, some of the paint was still wet. Crap. Okay, that should be fine. That'll dry up in a couple minutes, and then we can double check it, make sure we don't need to like add any shading or anything. Right now it looks fine though. Well, with the exception of this bit of his leg, which is now sort of gray for no reason. Okay, so it's time to start getting into the interesting colors. This base coat is about as done as it's going to get. So, let's go into some of the metallics. Let's start dipping into those. So we're going to do a lot of his smallest details in brassy brass. So his flamethrower, his belt buckle, and then like a lot of the buckles on his little bags and things are going to be in brass. Most of his equipment is going to be in copper. And there'll be small parts, including his legs and his shoulder pad, that will be in gunmetal. So let's start with, let's see, it's going to keep us the furthest away from the bits that are still drying. Probably fussing around with the brass is going to be the best way to keep off of that. And we're not going to lighten this up with a white undercoat, even though we could, if we wanted to stand out more, because this is all sort of hammered copper and hammered brass. It's going to have sort of a duller texture than normal. Or than like a clean metal would look. So going to add 3 drops of our thinner to that, since it doesn't need to cover over very much, and it's very thick to begin with. Okay. That's a pretty good color for this, actually. That's very close to what I wanted. So some of this we're going to need a detail brush for, but let's see what I can do without it. This brass flamethrower. Probably want to do like a little bit of blue on that edge there. And the look of it, the entire flamethrower is this color, and then there's like a little bit of strapping on it on one side. Okay. So where does that strapping actually end? That looks like it is part of the door to me. And we may want to wash some of this with like a watered down black or sepia, just to kind of dull down some of this extreme color that we've got going on over here. That looks good. It's too much. It's way too much paint. Let's see if I can get that back out of there without destroying this. It's going to be very difficult because of the metal particles spreading around. See what I can do though. Yeah, that's okay. Looks decent. It's not too far off from what I wanted. Now let's see about some of these pouches. Okay, so some of the pouches don't actually exist. That's fine. Let's check on this belt though, because it looks like there's a lot of that going on there. Okay, and then latch on his backpack. We'll get the same treatment. Making sure, again, not to overload the brush this time. Nice. Alright, let's see if there's anything else that needs that. I don't think there is. We appear to be good to go on that. I'm still suffering some bad frame droppage. Okay, yeah, this isn't gonna work. Need to stop the other media service that's currently running. I can only stream once at a time. Okay, seems to be fine for now. Okay, hopefully that fixes the issues in a more permanent fashion. It may not. That depends on whether I've correctly diagnosed everything. Alright, so now, done our brass, now we need our, let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's take care of this gunmetal, because we don't need very much of this. And we'll go back over with all the complicated stuff in copper later. And same as before, just a little bit of extra thinner. A little bit more than we'd normally use. Alright, so we've got our gunmetal. I need to stop getting paint all over myself. Okay. Alright, so we need this on the chest piece, this little Iron Man gear thing. Some of that's going to get blue in a little bit, but that's not for a while. Okay. We'll do his boots. Should probably thin this out before I do that. Or not thin it, but like reduce the amount on the brush. So we don't want to completely cover up everything underneath. Just mostly cover up everything underneath. Alright. He's not very visible while I'm doing this, unfortunately, but I'll give you guys a look once we've done the other remaining main color. There are some unfortunate angles in this sculpt. Very tight spaces to paint in. That's okay though. That also means that those areas are hard to notice flaws. So to do this, we're basically using an extremely wet dry brush. So, you know, it's not a dry brush, but it's definitely not fully laden with paint. What that's hopefully going to give us is gunmetal that you can see through. And lastly, we'll do his pauldron and fix the error that I made on his chest piece. Let's correct the chest piece real quick, his little Factorio gear. And then the pauldron. Which I think every single character in the starting 6 wears at least one pauldron. Yes, that is correct. Lots of pauldrons. As we've discussed in past streams, they're the fashion statement of choice in Gloomhaven. Wouldn't be seen out, wouldn't be caught dead without your pauldrons on. Okay. So there's that done. Just wrangle my brushes here for a second. Okay. And now, at last, all of the copper. Just all of the copper. Because he has got a lot of copper. Still only going to use 2 drops because we have absolutely loads of the other 2 colors left. And we're going to do the same trick with thinning it a little bit extra in order to take advantage of the base coating that we've already done. Okay. So we'll start with the other pauldron. So that's what we're on right now, is pauldrons, I guess. Just gonna shine him up just a bit. And we'll also do the underside of his left pauldron, which also appears to be copper, based on the art. In fact, we may want to thin this down further and then give it a coat over top of the gunmetal, because that is very silvery compared to what I wanted. Okay. Coming along well. Color's getting where it's headed. These do definitely need some kind of like dulling down or griming up because they are very bright right now. All of these colors are. So we'll need to do something about that. Maybe not the Factorio gear, because the middle of that's going to be probably the brightest place on the entire figure. But we'll see when we get there. Not going to make a decision on that just yet. Yeah, both sides armored, or armored underneath the pauldrons with copper. And then he's got his weird little neck thing. Plate on the front that's just coming right up to his chin. I think I may have just painted a little bit onto his chin, so I'm going to correct that. Okay, that's alright. I'll just have to live with that. So I don't think I can correct it at this point. Okay. Now let's do his crossbow. Oh yes, and before I forget, his grappling hook also has a copper bit on it. Or two, rather. One at each end. There's like a hook and then also the hook itself. Or there's the hook that it's hanging off of and then the hook that is the hook. If that makes any sense at all. I'm not sure it does.